Nell, welcome. So thank you for coming here today. Nell Wengert, am I pronouncing it correctly?
That's correct.
Okay.
I just recently changed my last name. I didn't tell you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, from what
To something a lot more simple people can understand.
Is it because of...
It's Arnold. So I'm Nell Arnold now.
Okay.
Great way of starting it.
Okay, well, thank you for being vulnerable to share that. Okay, is that
It's
your
my maiden name.
Maiden
Yeah.
name. Okay, so
Yeah.
Nell Arnold.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome. Thank you for having me in your home.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So, Nell, you're an engineer of well-being.
Oh.
You are originally from Germany. You have completed a Masters of Economics, Engineering and Architecture at the Stuttgart University, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. You have now gone from architecture and law to become a yoga teacher and studio owner. And now you're here in Balmain in Australia.
Yeah.
So Nell,
Very random.
very random. Yeah, well, exactly.
Yeah.
So how did you end up here? I think we will get to that question, but firstly I wanted to get back to the basics of learning more about who you were as a child and how you knew yourself to be when you were living in Germany with your parents. Who is Nell?
Ah, I like that question. That's a very introverted question, hey? I was a very shy child, I would say. Well-behaved, always wanted to do the right things. I was always inquisitive. I always wanted to know things, wanted to know things deeper, questioning everything. I annoyed all my teachers. I was a bit of a nerd. And I actually am a refugee from East Germany to West Germany. So that kept me open to adapting to new circumstances, which helped me these days to probably move countries. Mm-hmm. And so the start of the life probably not as smooth as other people's lives, because when you are a refugee, it's not that easy, to again get ground under the feet and having really nothing. Yeah. So we had a hard time to make a living. My parents worked a lot. We were very independent, my sister and myself, and we just needed to do a lot by ourselves, but we received still a lot of love. And yeah, we moved a lot around, back and forth, East Germany, West Germany, and ended then in West Germany, and that's where I lived for the last 17 years before I came here. And in West Germany, it was also where my parents met their very best friend, Valerie, his name is, which was our own personal best friend of Reiki master and healer. So there was a great addition to our family surroundings. So this is how I got exposed to a lot of energetic work in a very young age.
Wow, so he was your family friend?
He was our dear family friend, yeah.
Wow, so
yeah.
It started in Germany.
Yeah.
And I have as well, from my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, your father introduced you to breath work each morning, and your mother introduced you to spiritual wisdom and practices of gratitude in the mornings or during the day as
I had
well.
no idea what she meant. She was always saying, just give thanks, just always give thanks, thank you, thank you, thank you. We were not a deeply religious family, but it was a lot about the morals of being a good person, I guess. Both of my parents have been transporting that to me and my sister too. And my dad, I don't know actually where he has breath work from, but he did it every morning, and we did it a lot with him as well. And then later down the track, I realized what it actually is and why you do this in the morning and how you can activate your breath and what powerful tool that breath actually is. And my mother always has been very spiritual, and especially because then our family friend Valerie had a really big impact on my mother's interests as well. So my mother herself did some shamanic work herself.
Oh, really?
She always had a big interest, but never really the time for it, I would say.
Right,
Yeah.
interesting. And when you say breath work, what type of breath work?
It was more like an activated breath work. It was more like a Kapalabhati fire breathing, what you would do in the morning in a yogic practice as well, to spark the fire and to get a little bit more energized.
Okay,
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Full circle.
Yeah.
And so from there, you then transitioned. You were a shy student. You were a bright but shy student and child. And then from there, you decided to go into the field of architecture and engineering and law, which is very different to yoga and this spiritual realm. What drew your interest in this space?
Again, my parents, I guess I was influenced a lot.
Yeah.
My parents had a construction company, so they have been doing construction and were in, building all their life. And my mom supported my dad with this business. And me and my sister, we both have been helping. We were on construction sites, I think the first time actually working when we were like 9.
Wow, that's young.
And then, we were like continuously working with the family business, I guess. And when I was little, I always thought I'd become a lawyer. And then when I was a teenager, I realized how isolating that would be because I made an internship. This is called internship. And I didn't really love it. And then I was a bit lost because all my life I thought I'd become a lawyer because I have such a deep right and moral, like from my heart, what's right and wrong and helping. And then I was not sure what I should do. And then I went into the building and the economics because of the influence of my parents, I would think. It is actually a study which is not well known in Australia. It's a part of architecture, civil engineering, and then there is law and economics. And this all together is one study, and I went for 7 years. It's like a master and a bachelor degree these days together, but back then there was no separation between that. It was all or nothing.
Right.
So it put a lot of pressure on the people,
And a lot of time and energy
Oh
that you're committing towards.
7 years is a long time. Yeah, like 6, 7 years. Some people 7, some people 6.
Wow,
Yeah.
so you have the dedication to be consistent and to see through the end of an outcome as well. So when you put your mind to something, you can see it through, which can be easier said than done. So that's very, that's says a lot about your inner, I wouldn't say being stubborn, but just when you
I have great focus, and
yeah.
I have great focus, and I'm determined for sure. And my focus is one of my strengths, and it also helps me in practicing yoga.
Okay.
Because when you're having this focus, and in yoga we call it the drishti, it's like where your eyes and your mind is going, you can balance better, you're stronger, you align better, and you stay on your mat. So this is one of my big strengths, and it helped me in my yogic practice a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so how do you get in tune to this focus?
How I get in tune with my breath. So I think if I would have to choose one tool, it would always be the breath, because I think the breath is the biggest indicator on, first of all, how you feel, what your energy is like, and it has the ability to boost you or to calm you or to focus you and to give you all the energy you need. And I think it is the biggest tool, and it's completely underestimated.
Wow.
Yeah.
We have it all inside of us.
Everybody, yeah.
We just need to learn how to turn the engine on.
Yeah, and maybe which breath is useful for you and which breath is useful for me, or under what circumstance.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
I would think so.
Yeah. Okay. So then from studying these topics, you were at this stage, are you still in Germany?
At this stage, I was still in Germany, and I actually, that in the end did so well that I published a book about that, about my studies in what I studied. It was about sustainable energy and how to evaluate the ground of where they built the windmills on, like a complete random book, but there was no. You know when farmers are selling their land, and they are selling it always to those really big companies, and they say, it's $5 a square meter.
Right.
And actually, it's a lot more because they put a windmill craft on it, right? So I gave them a tool in this book how to evaluate their own ground in a very easy way.
Wow.
So this is that was the end of my studies, and then I started being an engineer, and I worked all my study life as well in this company, which took me already on before I finished my studies. And then I worked there for a while. It was fun, and I made a lot of friends, and we had a really good time. But Yeah, I changed companies, and also I got a lot of responsibility in a very, very young age. That means like millions and millions and millions of dollar projects, and not just one, like several ones in my mid-20s. And I think it's also so much pressure, so much responsibility. And then in the end, when you realize how people are using each other for money, I think that was just, I realized one day, and there was one moment I really remember. I looked into the mirror when I got up in the morning, and I looked into the mirror and I looked into my own eyes, and I'm like, who are you? What are you doing? And I remember the moment when it was like all blurry in front of the eyes, almost I can't see myself anymore. And then I'm like, I started practicing then first to practice yoga.
What were you practicing?
I was always physical active. I always liked sports. So I at first did sports, and then I was really, really stressed in one moment of my life because there was this stressful job, of course, but then in addition to that, I did build a house myself as well. I mean, with my hands, right? Not just letting it build, like building it myself with my ex-partner and some friends as well, and some of my family, 2 points. Then my ex-partner and I, because that was a super stressful situation, building a house, it didn't work out in the end, so I finished it myself, and that was a really, really hard and stressful time altogether, and tough 3 years of my life. And then this period when everything was so stressful, and I was building this house, and I was having this stressful job, and I got separated, and because of the separation and my father's morals that didn't go with each other, I had this family, these values broken, and the morals broken, so something within me was as well a little bit broken. And I went on this camping trip because that was the only thing I could afford to that time anymore. And then when I came back from this trip, I read this magazine, and in this magazine there was a girl talking about yoga.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, she's really fascinating. She was really inspiring. I have no idea who that girl was, but yeah, I would wish I could replicate who she was, because she was really inspiring to me. And then I Googled on my way back from my camping trip, where's the next yoga studio, and then I realized just behind my street was a yoga studio I had never seen, and was just in the back street, and was also the only yoga studio around. It was just the back street, just behind me.
Were you already practicing yoga at this stage?
No,
so you weren't,
no,
you were doing physical exercise?
Just physical exercise.
And that type, is that running, walking?
I was doing everything. I always went to the gym and did running, and I did HIIT, and then just kinesthetic, like what is it called?
Kinesiology?
No, kinesthetic, like when you just, or is it called kinesthetic? When you just move your body without any weights.
Okay.
And you're just figuring out your body's abilities. Yeah, I did this a little bit, and you know, and then strength. I started, a lot of strength stuff, and just curiosity about your own body. And then I started practicing yoga. My first yoga class altogether, I have to say, I did in a gym, and I hated yoga, and I didn't go back for years. And then I read this magazine. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, there's yoga. I might try this in an actual yoga studio. And then I realized, oh, that gym yoga was actually not the deal, what it should have been. And I went to the studio, and I was laying in Shavasana in the end of the practice, and I really figured out, oh my God, there's a lot more to this.
The never-ending journey to
oh my God, there's so much to
knowledge
it.
And
it was like
wisdom.
Crazy, yeah. I felt there was a lot more to this, but I couldn't put my finger on it, yeah. And then I went more because it felt good. And then after a few practices, I realized, and that was really in the early yoga days, I was laying in Shavasana. I had a few funny experiences. I don't know if I should tell this now. It's a bit weird. I don't know what people might think about me.
It doesn't matter. It's what you feel comfortable with, of course.
So in the first days of my yogic practice,
yes.
I was sleeping at night, and I sort of left my body in this sleep, and I witnessed myself, I watched myself from the outside, and I was sitting on my sofa all night and thought how great yoga is. And then I thought, actually the next day I woke up, I thought I did not sleep all night, and I called my mother. I'm like, I didn't sleep all night. That was weird. And then I remembered, though, that I actually saw myself laying on the bed.
From a third.
Yeah, so I'm like, actually, I couldn't have been me not sleeping because my body was laying on that bed. I just saw myself and returned to myself.
Wow, state of consciousness.
Yeah, and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. And it wasn't the first few practices. It came really early on. I noticed I needed a lot less sleep over time because I had so much energy, resources freed up from the movement and from the energetic body, that I had so much resources that I needed to sleep a lot less for some reason. And then I had this really, really, really deep experience when I was laying in Shavasana, when I got a message. And that message was, you are a yoga teacher. I'm like,
I am me? Wow.
Yeah.
And that changed the entire trajectory of your journey.
Oh, yeah. That moment I knew I'm going to be a yoga teacher. Yeah, because there was such an undeniable message, because it was so straight. There was no questioning. I didn't need to figure out, should I become a yoga teacher, or what am I doing, or when should I do it, or is this even a thing?
You just figure it out.
Oh no, it was like straight. It's almost like there is no choice. It was almost there is no choices in this world. This is the one choice you do.
Yeah.
And it was a message, so it was easy to make the decision, because people always like, oh, that must have been hard to make that decision of putting all that effort in studying for so long and then just throw this all in the bin and let's do something completely different. It was almost not my choice. So I decided to do it because I got that call, and it was very undeniable.
At that stage, were you seeking answers?
No.
You just received?
I received.
Interesting.
I compare it with downloading some missed calls from the universe, right? When you're in Shavasana and you finally come to stillness and you are like, is there anything for me I need to download, you know? Is there any unread messages, any missed calls?
So then and actually I was just about to ask, would you encourage more people to be in stillness? But you were practicing this, you were teaching this, you were exemplifying this, that you are now encouraging people and creating spaces for the community to then be in that space, to then tap into their own downloads. And that's
makes
very
me so happy. I thought when I can make just one person, I remember that thought, when I can just make one person feel this way I feel right now in Shavasana. One person, right? When I can guide somebody to feel just one time this way, so connected, so loved, so peaceful, this is everything I need to do. That's the purpose of life. Just one person would be enough. I felt like this. Yeah, it's such a great purpose.
It is, and you're embodying that. You are living that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Oh, no need to thank me.
Yeah.
You're just
for
saying it how.
Okay,
so that now you really enjoyed Shavasana.
I do.
And so then from there, you then somehow from Germany you came to Australia. So I'm missing a big piece there. What led you? How did that transition begin?
So in this call I got from my missed call, I'm answered like, yes, all right, doing it. I actually quit my apartment. I quit my job.
Yeah.
I signed up for yoga teacher training in Berlin. Also, Berlin is a really weird spot to do a teacher training. I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah.
And I had this little gap in between where I had a month where I didn't really have anywhere to live because I wanted to move to Berlin, but I already quit my apartment. It was just not 100% lining up. So I had this month in between, and this is when I went on the Camino de Santiago. In Germany we call it Jacob's Way.
Jacob's Way.
Yeah, it's a hike in which starts in South France and it goes all the way to Santiago de Compostela. It's in northern Spain. It's meant to be, I think, an 800-kilometer walk.
Why did you decide to take this walk?
I always wanted to walk this walk since I was 18, but I didn't have the courage, and I was full of fear that something might happen to me or whatnot. And I was also not a person who does stuff by myself a lot. So
I could not believe that.
I know, no, I can't believe it either.
From the first day I met you, she's very independent.
Yes.
In a good way.
Yeah. I mean, it's childhood related as well, but I wouldn't have chosen to walk such a long ass way by myself. It's very long.
You asked me to do it, and I said, no, I couldn't do that.
No,
but
you
maybe,
could.
Maybe I could.
You
exactly,
could.
yes.
You could, 100% you
Yeah.
could. Because you can walk it in your own pace. So I had my backpack and I had my shoes and I started to walk. And in this walk, I still thought, I might do this teacher training and then I do this part-time, because I couldn't think of that you can make a living out of teaching yoga. And then I walked and walked and walked, and then there's always something you take with you on this walk, like a stone or a shell, and then there's the Cruz de Ferro, and on this Cruz de Ferro you leave behind whatever you want to leave behind. And before that Cruz de Ferro there was this tavern, like on the left, I remember. I was sitting there forever, I almost couldn't cross that cross. And there I got a Reiki healing.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you get a Reiki healing
I was
there?
sitting there for hours, and
Yeah.
then a guy came out, do you need a Reiki healing?
No.
I'm not joking.
Out of nowhere?
Yes. So
I
many
just had shivers.
so many magical
Maybe
things
it's the
have been
aircon.
happening. So many magical things have been
Happen on that
happening
walk.
on this walk. I can just highly recommend, because it's not just a walk. It is so much traveled by. There's so much energy on this path.
It's a spiritual.
It is a very spiritual
Yeah.
path, and it is life changing for a lot of people, and so it was for me. I crossed that cross eventually after my release in Reiki, and then I decided after this that I definitely need to become a full-time yoga teacher, because I can't do anything half. I need to do it full-hearted, and you know me a little bit, so I'm a person who does it right or I don't do it at all. So I couldn't think of being a stressed engineer during the day and then just teaching a calm yoga class in the evening. I feel like you need to have your basket a little bit filled to be able to give something.
Give back.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes.
On this path, on this way, I met an Australian man that is Dave, and he and we traveled a little bit together after this walk. He came with me to Berlin, and I was doing the teacher training there. And then I said, I might just look at Australia. I just wanted to see, travel here, see what Australia is about. It was never on my agenda to be here or even to make a vacation here or holiday here. And then I thought I might become a travel yoga teacher. So my plan was to go to Australia, teach it a little bit, go to New Zealand, and then to India.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, but I'm still here.
Yeah, so how long has it been now since you've been here?
8 years.
8 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Because with travel yoga, you can jump from country to country, and you can also pick up more skills in yoga teaching training as well, and I guess add more layers to your experience.
Yeah.
So why did you decide to stay in Australia for 8 years?
Again, it was not my decision.
Yeah.
The decisions were made by the universe again. So I became unexpected pregnant. I was not meant to have children. 3 months before, I got told I can't have kids.
3 months before.
3 months before, I was told I can't have kids. And 3 months later, I was pregnant with my beautiful son, Vincent.
Beautiful, gorgeous son,
Yeah,
Vinny.
he's amazing.
Yes. How old is he?
He's 6.5.
6.5.
Yeah. He's gorgeous. He's very connected. Yeah.
Okay. And very inquisitive as well.
Oh yes, he's just
Like
a
his
little
mum.
bit like me. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And so now you have arrived to Australia, and you have your beautiful boy. And what led you? How did you get to the point of opening Solar Agenda? How did that come about? Because Balmain, you don't live in Balmain either, and it's just, did this opportunity just pop up for you, or was it something you had planned for a long time?
I knew I was gonna have a yoga studio on Darling Street when I arrived in Australia.
What?
Yeah. So I was living in
Darling Street.
I was walking on this street here. I was just going to a cafe with my ex-partner's family, and we were walking along and strolling or driving, I can't remember, but we were on the street, and I was looking at the street and I really liked the vibe of the street. And then I said, how about I would have a yoga studio here one day? And then I got told that it's impossible. Then I got told it's impossible because the leases are too high, and a yoga studio will never work out on a street like this because it's way too expensive.
It is high rent here, but there's a lot of foot
Yeah.
traffic.
Yeah, but I just, when you're thinking about what impact a person can have on your dreams, I feel like, having the trust in the universe and make sure who you surround yourself with, because people can have a big influence on you and your decisions and questioning and your worries, So if I would have listened, then I wouldn't have it now. I didn't listen.
Why do you think you didn't listen?
Because I always believed in myself. I also always believed in the universe having my back. And I also knew I will be the owner of Soul Agenda. Also, I did not found Soul Agenda. So the story comes in this regard. So I was at first on the Central Coast and I was teaching there all over the place. I did lots more teacher trainings. I did diversify my skill set a lot because I love change. And I also feel there is not a one-way street to yoga or wellness or to health. So this is why I did yoga and I did Pilates and I did breath work and I did body work. I did the Sentai massage. I did the sound healing. I did prenatal and postnatal and kids yoga, and and the Reiki. It's just like I feel like a lot of things can come together and make a really nice bunch of flowers. But I think. The diversity has been skilling me up because I couldn't travel. Because you said, it really diversifies and gives you different experiences, so you can learn a lot more when you are traveling. That's true, and I wanted to do it, but I couldn't. So I just decided to do it here and do different teacher trainings in Australia. That's what I did. And then I just have been growing with my child because I became a single mom very quickly. And then I taught a lot of prenatal when I was pregnant. I taught a lot of moms and bubs when I was not pregnant. I taught a lot of kids yoga. And I taught a lot of online classes in between, especially during COVID.
Wow, that's tough.
So it's always, and the studio opened just at COVID. So June 2020.
Wow.
When we had our first impact of COVID somehow, or it came out, I don't know, but it was just like this moment when it was not the best moment of life, I think. But, the studio survived somehow, and the owners, Chris and Jolene, who I'm really, really grateful to about this beautiful, beautiful space, and the amazing interior designer who created this. I'm super grateful as well. So I have been here when there was just in the build, the yoga studio, and I had my demo teacher training with Jolene and with Chris. And I taught here from day one in this space. And they moved very quickly to the Gold Coast because they had 2 sons and they had the 2 KXs here as well. And they sold, or they wanted to sell all the businesses at once and leave. But in the end, it was like this, that they let a manager manage the studio and moved already. And so I became the manager of the studio later on. So I was here teaching since day one. I became the manager of the studio, and then eventually I took on the business myself. The funny thing is about that I had in the back of my laptop always this picture, the first photo shoot we ever had here at Soul Agenda, which was on the back of this wall. And Jolene and I were standing next to each other, and there was this moment when when you all look at each other and you laugh or you like do a joke or so, right? And in this picture, this one picture I had, everybody was sort of looking at me.
Okay.
And I had this in the back side of my laptop. And I always looked at that picture. I'm like, oh, that looks like I'm the owner of the studio. And then I felt like, oh, maybe I am the owner of the studio.
There we are.
Yeah.
That was that moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. And so that was 4 years ago? No, it's been...
So the studio's open since
2025, yes.
Since 5 years the studio is open, and I took on the business 2.5 years ago.
Right,
yeah.
Okay, wow. So you had manifested it.
Oh yeah, I think I manifested it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But you were also led to that position because you were...
Yeah.
It was written in your stars.
I feel so, yeah. I feel the universe wanted to present something to me for my sacrifice a little bit.
Of course, you worked really hard.
Yeah.
And as a single mother as well, that's tough.
It was so tough.
Yeah.
Especially during COVID, and then being a single mom, having not a single friend here or family support, just arriving here and have lost all your work, all your job. You don't get governmental support because you're not a resident. You have nothing, right? And then still having the courage. I'm so proud of myself. The only thing what kept me going is my own practice. And then still having the strength to pull through to take on a business. I'm super proud of myself.
You should be.
Yeah, thank you.
It's not easy, and it's lots of people shy away from it. And not only did you overcome it, you actually thrived, because like today there were people coming through the doors thinking there were classes, but no, it's closed because we're shooting, and but you can come to the next class or come, so that just goes to show there's a lot of demand. So it's often, they say a business is often a reflection of the owner. So you are the heart of Soul Agenda, and I definitely see the love within the community and the genuine warmth that not only that you give off, but people feel safe, people feel welcomed, people feel like they belong, and they do receive a lot out of it. I have attended some of your classes myself, and I know what I get out of the classes. I always think you're practicing Reiki in all of the classes. So I don't know what you do, but something magical happens in the classes.
Oh, you're beautiful. Thank you.
Well, that's fantastic. So
I want to give a little bit of credit to the teachers, of course, as well, because every single teacher who teaches here I'm so proud of every single person who is holding space here in the space, because everyone, I feel, is authentic and a beautiful soul, and it's so, so special to have teachers like that in one space. I feel like every single person is something really, truly special. And as you say, the community here is really making, they are so warm-hearted, so big friendships are created here. It's just so beautiful. This is also why I felt so responsible for taking on the business, because otherwise it might have been not here anymore. And I knew that this is a place for some people to come almost daily, and it feels like home to them. So I feel responsible not just for the teachers, for the community as well. And of course it was an offering from the universe for myself a little bit as well. But I agree, it's truly special. And the energy in the space is amazing, through all the people who come through the doors too.
That's beautiful. It's good. Where the well, that's good. I don't have anything further to add on to that, because you've wrapped. Yes, that's. I'm really happy that I was able to experience it for the time that I have. I've been volunteering here for the past almost 2 months, I'd say.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Came by really fast, but it's because it's such a beautiful space to work in, and the people as well, and meeting yourself. And once I got to know you, I discovered more about you, and I thought you're very interesting, and I wanted to know more.
Thank you. So are you.
Thank you. And so Soul Agenda, you're offering 13 plus classes here. You offer, some of them include Qigong on the rooftop, ice baths, sound baths, animal flow, expressive dancing, yin yoga and acupuncture, art therapy workshops, meditation and sound healing workshops, as well as Pilates and Inferno HIIT Pilates.
Yeah.
Just to name a few.
Yeah.
And you listed a few of your gifts and talents as well that you've learned over the time, but that's extraordinary. There's just the amount of services and offerings that you have here. So how has Soul Agenda, what do you think is the essence of Soul Agenda, and what do you see moving forward, looking ahead, what's next for Soul Agenda and your own journey?
That's a really interesting question. I should have thought about that before. So I'm first of all, I'm really proud of the schedule and of the agenda on the Soul Agenda. Yeah, because this is again one of those things. It's diversified, so it's very inclusive for people. Even if you can't even move or can't be upside down, you can always do something. You can do Qigong, you can do art, you can come to meditation, you can go to sound relaxation. You don't necessarily need to practice yoga and go in a downward facing dog. I think what it will come next, except that we're doing a lot of retreats these days. We're doing our first overseas retreat next month, which is going to be exciting. And
which country?
We're going to Bali this time.
Bali, okay.
Yeah. And we are doing a lot more retreats coming up. It's becoming a little bit of a request from our students, because they want to connect a little bit more with each other. And I think this is also where the magic happens, when they really are getting close to each other and create those beautiful bonds and friendships even more. the few next steps we're going to do at Soul Agenda is I am personally doing my Reiki level 2, level 3, and I might put this onto our agenda as well as an offering.
Will you be teaching?
No, I will be a practitioner. Yeah. So if somebody is interested in taking that, of course. And we are also having in the pipeline of potentially running teacher trainings ourselves.
Okay.
That means this will take still a little while. It's a lot of work to get this planned and set up. So we are in the pipeline of doing this. And yeah, in May we also have the local business awards coming up. We became finalists this year. So we are just hoping that we're gonna win.
Well, congratulations.
Thank
you have the
you.
gala. So the gala is in May?
In May on the 26th.
Wow, on the 26th.
Yeah.
Okay, well, all the best.
Thank you.
And you've made it. And how many businesses compete as a local? Do you know how many were
No, I
finalists?
don't know.
Okay.
Don't know.
Okay. But that's I don't know how many times do you know how many times Soul Agenda has?
We never have been participating. We participated the first time.
Really?
Yeah, so we participated the first time, became
Oh, because it's new. It's like, well,
so we became finalists just now. Yeah.
This is big.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
It goes to show all the hard work that you've put in.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
It's being recognized, so that's incredible. You deserve it. I hope you win.
You.
Okay, so then that's what's coming up. The retreats sound amazing. That will be a lot of fun. And so I suppose what's next for Nell?
For me?
Yes.
Yeah, my Reiki.
Okay.
My Reiki, I'm gonna finish that, and I am hoping to work a little bit less because currently my workload is huge. I do everything in the studio, as you know.
And you're a mother.
And I'm a mother, and my goal is to make a little bit more time for my child, because I'm teaching a lot of classes, of course, and I love the teaching, but there's so much admin behind it, so I'm trying to outsource a little bit more, so I have a little bit more eggs in my basket again to give more as well to my child.
Do you have any vacancies open for anyone that's interested?
That's a good question. I actually am in the talk with a permanent teacher who might take on a full-time role now to cover that, to stay integrated and connected to the studio.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good idea.
Yeah.
And that's hopefully you can have some space so you can breathe again and give back in areas that you want to really focus on for yourself.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for being here and for having me be here in this beautiful studio in your space, and for participating in this podcast. If people were interested in joining and trying any of your classes, coming by the studio, how can they find you and sign up?
Thank you for having me in your podcast. They can just go onto soul@soulagenda.com.au. We are in Balmain in Sydney, Darling Street, easy to find, ground floor, or an Instagram, Soul Agenda Yoga.
Wonderful. And if anyone wants to support you in any way, what would be the best way to support the studio and yourself?
Come to class.
Practice. To class.
Because then you don't just support us in the studio, but also yourself and everybody around you.
Okay, great. Yeah. Well, you heard that first here. So if you are interested, please come down to Balmain on Darling Street here in Soul Agenda. And it's a beautiful studio and it's very, very peaceful and welcoming. And we'd love to welcome you with wide arms. Thank you.